Okay, today I'm at Salisbury Racecourse with kind permission with Ken Pitterson. Ken, thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us here. It's taken us a while, isn't it?
It's been a long time, so I remember. I think you asked me a couple of years ago, but yeah, we finally got it nailed down for today.
Okay, so you're known for your paddock watching, so we'll start with a couple of people like to learn from these interviews. So, what's the most positive thing you can see in a horse when it's walking around a paddock?
I think the two most important things is one is their mind and their demeanour. That's very important because for all horses it's a different surrounding. So you see how they actually come into the parade ring and how they're walking around to start with. Then you start looking at how fit a horse is regarding its fitness. So you look at its hindquarters. The more defined the lines are, the fitter a horse is. You look at his ribs. Are they tight or is it actually loose? So you just look at those. Those are the two main important things. Definitely a horse's demeanour and how fit a horse is.
Okay, so on the other side, what's the most negative?
Negative, well, it's quite a few things. I mean, the thing that I find is like you've got quite a pleasant day today. You wouldn't want a horse walking into the paddock sweating up on its toes because it's just losing nervous energy. And obviously it's going to run a mile and a half or over jumps 2 miles. You're just wasting energy. So the most important thing is the horse to be nice and relaxed when he walks into the paddock, and you don't want it sweating up or just using up energy.
Okay, so how long have you been sort of scrutinising horses in the paddock?
Oh, well, professionally over 20 years, but I've been going racing for over 30 years. So yeah, it's been a long trawl, but yeah, I enjoy it, and it's something you're always learning in this game because there's always different sires, different horses, different trainers, different methods. So yeah, I think you're always learning and see how things adapt.
Okay, so have horses sort of differed in the time that you started watching, looking at it, and now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you take national hunt racing for instance, you had all those renowned sires like your Mandalises and all those. They were big, slow horses that took time before they actually developed, and you could see that a horse walked in, it was clueless. It was just a frame. There was no physical development. The physical development was there, but it just wasn't all together. So you could see that on your big talking your big national hunt horses, your flat types. You had a different type of flat horse. They were not so, I would say, more athletic now than they were, say, in the 80s or 90s. They were nice horses, but they just took a bit more time to come to hand. Nowadays, your flat horses, they want them tomorrow. They want them yesterday. They want them ready developed, ready to go.
Okay, so what are the hardest types of race to form an opinion on just purely from watching them in the paddock?
I think the hardest ones are probably your older handicaps. You kind of know, the form's in the book. There's nothing you can really gain by looking at them other than negatives. So if you've seen the horse, which you've seen 7 or 8 times, you've seen it from a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, you kind of know its makeup, you kind of know how it looks. And then you don't really learn nothing from them when they turn up in the track unless, for instance, he walks in and he's running around the paddock, he's dragging his lad or lass around. Just those things he does out of character. Those are the horses you don't really learn much from.
Okay, so are you sort of blessed with a good memory, or do you need to write down and make notes and sort of study those notes before you come racing on a day?
I'm not that clever, Simon. You've got to write them down. There's too much racing. My usual days, I'll go racing like here at Salisbury today. I'll write my notes down on my race card. I'll go home and then I'll just spend half an hour and just put them all on my computer. So I have them as a backup reference to when next time they run, I'll have a quick look how I saw them the time before. So I've got a quick memory that, yeah, okay, it looked fit, it didn't look fit, it needed to run, all those sort of things. The next time it appears and I'm there, I can remember what I've had written down before, because you can't remember it now, Simon. There's too much racing going on.
Okay, so you sort of sometimes you see a horse after 2 or 3 months and think, bloody hell, that's filled out.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be obviously a definite positive.
Yeah, definitely.
So 2-year-olds, I mean, their official birthdays, as far as I know, January the 1st. So do you have access to their actual date of birth, and is it important then gauging how ready they are?
Very much so, because if you look at for any 2-year-old races, if you look on its details of the horse, you'll see when it's actually born. And then, for instance, you look at this year's Brocklesby win. I think it was Persian Force. He was, if I remember right, I think he was a January foal. He was racing against horses that were born in March and April. He's been on the ground 3 months before them. He'd grown, he'd developed. They've been on the ground for sometimes not even 2-year-olds, some of those, that early. So you can see a big difference in how they develop. So birth dates are important with 2-year-olds, because if you've got something that's born in January and it races in March, it's had near enough 3 months to develop. Something that's born in March, say March the 1st, and it's racing at the end of the month, it's not even a month on the ground, so it makes a big difference.
And is how they're acting in the paddock also very important for knowing how mature it might be out on the track?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, a good mind. You want a horse that's taking everything in, but not getting upset by it. And you can see that with all sort of horses. Sometimes you see a horse that looks the part, but his mind is just elsewhere. He's like a school kid, looking around, looking what's going on, not concentrating on what he's meant to be doing. So those things are definitely important when you're looking at a horse, to see how he's taking his environment, how he looks, and how he's just taking what's going on. Because if he's got a good relaxed mind, it will hopefully show that on the racetrack as well.
Okay, now that's sort of, you're looking at that in the parade ring. A lot of race courses I go to, I see lots of shrewies stood around the pre-parade ring. They've normally got beards and loads of form books and stuff like that. I mean, is there an added advantage to being at the pre-parade ring?
Yeah, I think so, because I think it's important, and I think race course should know that it is important, because people have come to see the horse, and they should have. They only get if you think people only see the horse for roughly some tracks, 5 minutes, and that's not good enough. You get them in the pre-parade ring, you watch them go round, you can see them, because if you think about it, a flat horse, you see him for 2 years, 3 years max. You don't see him for that length of time. With a jumper, you've got a lot more time to see him over from 4-year-old right up to about a 9 or 10-year-old. So there's much more time. So with a young horse, it's important to see him in the pre-parade ring, see how they're taken to their environment, and to see how basically how they look, how they're built, how they're walking around. Just take all those things in.
So, and then you've taken the information that you can glean from the pre-parade ring and then the parade ring. How important then to you is watching them go down?
Oh, it's definitely important. I mean, lucky the ground isn't too bad here today. We've got decent ground here. So you watch a horse go down. You like a horse to have a nice flow in action on good ground. Quite low to the ground, but moves like an athlete, moves really well. You don't want a horse lifting his knees up, because that shows it wants heavy ground. And then you can have some horses that take off with their jockeys, no matter who they are. If a horse decides to bolt to the start, it will bolt, no matter who's on the top. So all those things, especially in the young horses, first time in race course, is important. You watch how they take to all those sort of things, go down to the start nice and steadily. Say again, he's conserving energy, he's not doing anything silly, and you take that in. And that sometimes the market can just change on the way a horse goes to start.
Yeah, so just from a betting point of view, I mean, everybody thinks they need to get on early to get the value, but even at the start, if a horse starts playing up, that is the price that you might have lost worth waiting for, to make sure everything's right before they go in.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes, especially with young horses, you want to see everything goes smoothly. He's done the parade break, he's gone down to the start, he's gone to the stalls, he hasn't done anything silly, he's been nice and relaxed. Where you see it sometimes, a horse comes out on the track, it charges down to the start, so he's wasted all that energy down at the start, gets there, still buzzing around, running around, will not settle. So that's going to happen when the race starts. Gets into the stalls, hits the lids, and then he just pulls too hard. So all that is education and things you can actually learn by looking at them.
Okay, so you mentioned the worst things and the best things. Can you give us some more little subtle things that you may be looking for in the paddock?
I think you look at how again. Hopefully you've done a bit of work to know what sort of horse you're dealing with, like its dad and its mum. So you kind of know. I mean, what I generally do before the day's racing, I've gone through, like say your 2-year-old race, so you know what the dam's done. Was she a group winner? So are you looking at a horse that could be better at 3, or is it just a set 2-year-old who's going to be a 2-year-old? So you look at those sort of things before you actually get to the paddock, and then you kind of frame in your mind. If you're looking at a sprinter, you're looking at a small, close couple type, but well muscled up. Looking for your mile plus horses, they're more longer types. So you're looking for those sort of variations in physiques when you look at the horses in the paddock, and those things can point you to a winner and to a loser.
Now, I'm assuming that with most things in horse racing, there's always the exception to the rule. So, I mean, how often do you get totally put away? You think that has got no possible chance and it bolts up?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was only last week I saw a 2-year-old that played up in the paddock, and I thought, oh, didn't look great. Sweated up, went to post like a bat out of hell, and I thought, ooh, what do I do? Do I lay this thing? And I thought, no, I sit tight. It came back and bolted up, and you stand and you think, well, here it goes. That happens. I mean, that's the thing about horse racing. Nothing is as easy as it seems. So as I said, you're always learning. You're always picking things out, and you're always seeing things where you can't understand how that's happened. Mark Johnson's a great example. His 2-year-olds, I've seen them play up. I've seen them bolt to post. I've seen them do all sorts of things and still win. So horses can do silly things and win. Some horses can do silly things and just don't perform. So it's never an easy, and it's always a learning curve, I'd say.